Hello and welcome guys to another status report highlight for the week of the 10th of November 2014. And as always this week we're starting off with DayZ's producer Brian Hicks, who starts off by saying, now that 050 has rolled out a stable branch, the focus of the team shifts to the incremental rollout of 051 for November's monthly stable branch update. As with any monthly stable branch update, this comes with several new features, functional changes to existing systems, and its own unique collection of bugs and general gameplay issues. Those who encounter any frustrating blockers to their gameplay experience on either stable or experimental are encouraged to utilize the DayZ feedback tracker at feedback.dayzgame.com. Then Brian Hicks goes on to mention that on experimental branch this week they've pushed out several new security related hotfixes, as well as pushing BattleEye's upcoming changes, as always with security, working in tandem with our external partners BattleEye and VAC. As well as observing exploits and behavior on experimental and stable branch servers allow us to iterate and address via experimental to stable branch update paths. This next part is very important and I hope everybody is paying attention. As Brian Hicks says, it is important again to understand that during the early access alpha period of DayZ's development, vulnerabilities will be introduced as the engine and systems surrounding it are created. Addressing these vulnerabilities and iterating via the experimental to stable branch update path is a constant tug of war. Through utilizing the DayZ feedback tracker to properly report valid information and issues encountered surrounding these areas, we can more quickly patch the holes. And finally, this Friday the 14th, the developers had their first dev play sessions on experimental branch, and the footage captured during this stream will be edited and commentated over in next week's dev experimental branch discussion video to be released in next week's status report. It is our hopes that combining general development experimental branch gameplay with a director's style commentary alternating weekly will allow both the light-hearted side of seeing the team play and experiment with systems in development, and the more serious gameplay and design-oriented development discussion that the dev experimental branch discussions video will allow. This paired with the upcoming restructuring of the dev hub, as well as moving the status reports to Fridays and rollout update notes for Wednesday's experimental branch release via the dev hub, will be the first step towards increasing community developer interaction moving forward into 2015. And Brian wants to finally remind everybody to not forget about the private shard contest announced during last week's status report. Submissions are still being accepted. And now we move on to lead game designer Peter, who starts off with not much has changed since the last status report update on our front. Vehicle implementation is still flagged with the highest priority. There are of course some issues down the road which needs to be tackled to some extent so it can be considered ready to go for public testing. We advanced a bit as we had passed the vehicles to physics parameters in configuration to set up car behavior correctly, which is not an easy task and can take countless hours of tweaking and balancing to get the feeling right and believable. For example, we already had an iteration where our beloved V3S was acting like a boat or was falling on its side while steering. Peter then goes on to say, at Thursday and Friday we had a visit from part of the Bratislava team here to talk about features and design. It was nice to have them there and discuss things in details, like animals, cooking and horticulture. In the meantime we've added MP133 with pistol grips and fixed walkie-talkies. We also added one more way to gather meat. You guys know what that is. Apart from that, there are some new issues with restraining and struggling, which we are taking care of now. We are also revisiting the way how the suicide was supposed to be working, and if everything goes fine, it will be seamlessly integrated into the gameplay at the end. And he finishes off with one of my favourite all-time quotes, "Come get some," and reminds us that he'll be seeing us in Chernerus with a knife and fork. And finally for this week's status report we have lead artist Chris, who starts off with, this week I've been working closely with Peter regarding design of the V3S and will be working on a high quality interior of the V3S with functioning gauges. The initial implementation of the V3S will have some placeholder interior as the high quality version is being created. We have also finished the prison uniform and are closing in on finishing the prison complex, which will be an interesting area to explore. We plan to also create prison themed zombies, which we will have to face if you want to explore the facility. The stair AUG model is done and we will soon send it to animations, CFG and sounds. I am optimistic that it can be in for the next stable release, but it's worth saying that it will be the base version only. We are looking into swapping barrels to convert from the standard AUG to an HBAR version. The military tent is also finished. I expect it will be found in the next stable release. So that's it for this week's status report highlight of the week of the 10th of November 2014. As always, I would recommend reading the status report in full yourselves for the full amount of information that it holds. All links will be in the description, as well as to DayZ TV for all the latest DayZ news and information. And as always, I'll see you peeps next time.